back again with a very interesting article. Well, research paper. I found this. This is from April 2nd of 2019. It is, I don't know, Frontiers. Um, Deep genome resequencing reveals artificial and natural selection for visual deterioration, plateau adaptability, and high prolificity in Chinese domestic sheep. What? Exactly. That's what I thought. I thought to myself, artificial and natural selection. I'm only going to read a little bit of this as we scroll through. I'll just pull out the important parts. You can tell me what it makes you think of. It says sheep were one of the earliest domesticated animals. Both artificial and natural selection during domestication has resulted in remarkable changes in behavioral, physiological, and morphological phenotypes. However, the genetic mechanisms underpinning these changes remain unclear, particularly for indigenous Chinese sheep, or we could say humans. In the present study, we performed pooled whole genome resequencing of 338 sheep from 5 breeds representative of indigenous Chinese breeds and compared them to the wild ancestors of domestic sheep for detection of genome-wide selective sweeps. Comparative genomic analysis between domestic sheep and Asian mouflon showed that selected regions were enriched for genes involving in bone morphogenesis, growth regulation, and embryonic and neural development in domestic sheep. Moreover, we identified several vision-associated genes with functional mutations, such as, it lists a few, in all 5 Chinese native breeds. Breed-specific selected regions were determined, including genes such as that one for hypoxia and adaptability in Tibetan sheep, and this one for heat tolerance in the Dulong sheep. Our findings provide insights into the genetic mechanisms underlying important phenotypic changes that have occurred during sheep domestication and subsequent selection. Now, I'm sorry, but if I was to read this instead of sheep, but humans, that is the same thing. If they're doing it in sheep, they're most definitely doing it in us. So I must keep that in mind, that they have isolated heat tolerance and hypoxia adaptability just there. So it goes on to tell me a little bit about what their thing is doing here with an introduction. The domestication of wild animals to meet human needs, as well as changes in the natural environment, is an important aspect of the history of modern human civilization. Sheep, or human, are one of most economically important species of farmed animals in the world, providing a variety of products that are important to human society, such as meat, milk, and wool. Sheep were one of the earliest animals to be domesticated during the early Neolithic period after dogs and goats. After domestication, they went in that order: dogs, goats, sheep. Dogs are man's best friend. Goats are the devil, they say. And sheep is Jesus. I don't know. Just interesting they have those archetypes. After domestication in the Fertile Crescent approximately 8,000 to 11,000 years ago, sheep spread to every corner of the globe alongside their human domesticators. Despite genetic studies, the identity of the wild ancestor of the domestic sheep remains to be determined. However, several species or subspecies of the genus Ovis have been suggested, including, and here's some, which are considered to be the most probable candidates. Both the Ovis aries and the Ovis ortinellis are infertile, and compared with their other wild Asian sheep species, only Ovis has the same chromosome component of that of the domestic sheep, Ovis aries. The evolution of the domestic sheep has been associated with marked phenotypic changes in behavior, reproduction, and growth. Identifying the genetic changes underlining these phenotypic changes should help to clarify the genetic mechanism of successful domestication of animals, as well as practical breeding strategies for the improvement of sheep productivity and the resilience to environmental challenges. Compared with studies of domesticated dogs, chickens, pigs, and cattle, relatively little is known about the changes associated with sheep domestication. A pioneer study used resequencing to obtain 77 sheep genomes from different ecological environments and identify several selective sweeps associated with adaptations to extreme environments. Subsequently, one study described artificial selection for tail type, coat color, and wool quality based on a SNP bead chip data. Despite the rapid development of genetic technology and identification of several selective sweeps associated with important phenotypes, such as the horn, pigmentation, fat depositation, tail type, wool quality, muscle hypertrophy, reproduction, adaptation to climate, and resistance to parasites, the genetic mechanisms responsible for the numerous evolutionary differences between domestic sheep and their wild ancestors, such as visual deterioration and tame disposition, are still unclear. To clarify the underlying genes or variants responsible for evolutionary differences and phenotypic changes in domestic sheep, we performed whole genome sequencing of 338 sheep from 5 breeds representative of indigenous Chinese breeds and compared the data with publicly available genome sequencing of 17 wild sheep. We aim to elucidate the genetic mechanisms underlying the genetic variation and the phenotypic changes introduced in domestic sheep under the influences of artificial and natural selection. So it goes on to tell you its materials and methods as well as its ethics statements. And so I'm going to read the ethics statement, but I'm going to scroll through the rest because that's going to be how they came up with it and a lot of technical things. So we'll get right to the point at the end. All experiments in this study were carried out in accordance with the approved guidelines of the regulation of the Standing Committee of Gansu People's Congress. All experimental protocols and the collection of samples were approved by the Ethics Committee of Gansu Agricultural University under permission number DK005. And we're going to look up that Gansu Agriculture University at the end, so stick with us. So they go on to tell you how they've collected their samples and the sequencing. They have a variant calling, population genetics analysis of selective sweep regions in indigenous Chinese sheep, candidate gene analysis, results and discussion. So here are their results. They have the sequencing, alignment, and identification of a single nucleotide polymorphosis. And they go on to tell you how they did that. Here's a few little charts. They also did a population genetics structure, a genome-wide selective sweeps analysis, which I think we also get some figures. Yes, we do. Selected regions of associated with decreased vision and autosomes of domestic sheep. Well, now that's interesting. So it says vision plays a decisive role in the survival of animals through its influence on a range of core behaviors such as mating, foraging, and evasion of predators. However, domesticated animals such as dogs, horses, ducks, chickens, and sheep exhibit weaker visual acuity compared to their untamed counterparts. I find that interesting. The sheep is one of the most successful and earliest domesticated animals. However, the evolution of vision during sheep domestication has previously received little attention, although the limited findings indicate that domesticated sheep have significantly poor vision. What? Do you not find that interesting when we're talking about calling everybody sheeple? Did you even know that about domesticated sheep? They have a significantly poor vision. This change is due to the evolutionary decrease in regions of the brain involved in processing of visual structures and of eye size corrected for body size. Visual acuity is less important for survival of domestic sheep in the predictable farm environment compared with that of required by wild sheep. And so they go on to show where those mutations lie. They got a mutation in this place that results in severe retinal disease, including, and so forth and so on. Isn't that interesting? We have some more tables for you to admire. Ooh. It says the adaptation of Tibetan sheep living in the Qinghai Tibet plateau to hypoxia challenges. So not only do we have problems with vision, but it seems these high altitudes are a problem. So they compared some things there and look, more pretty charts. Selective regions reflecting varietal characteristic and other four native sheep, Chinese sheep brands. So they go through that there. And in conclusion, in this study, we identified a novel series of vision-related genes and function mutations subjected to positive selection in all 5 Chinese native sheep breeds during sheep domestication. These genes include, but are not limited to, it doesn't say that, I made that up. And here is the list of them that may be responsible for the decreased vision during sheep domestication. And if I can find it, I can manipulate it. Can I now, instead of making all of the sheep see better, can I not make them blinder? Sheep being a representation of anything. In addition, some specific selective genes that reflect the characteristic of each breed were also identified in the 5 native Chinese sheep breeds. These included 2 novel genes related to hypoxia adaptability in Tibetan sheep and heat tolerance in Dulong sheep, and some known genes associated with short-tailed phenotype, the presence or absence of horns, vertebral number variations, and litter size. These results provide new insights into the molecular mechanisms of sheep domestication and evolution, as well as the formation of the unique characteristics of Chinese native sheep breeds. And, they're doing this everywhere. This is not just sheep. This is not science fiction anymore. So, on everyone who says that I'm too science fictiony. I don't think so. I'm not out there. This is here. This is what they're doing. They're trying to break apart every little thing to find out how to blind you or make you see. I don't know. What's better for the domestication? And so you can see that they've got some discipline construction fund project of Gansu Agricultural University. That's who supported this. So let's go over real quick and just take a look at who this is. So the Gansu Agricultural University, according to Wikipedia, was established in 1946, the GAW, as a nonprofit public higher education institution in the small city of Langzhou, Gansu. Officially accredited, recognized by the Department of Education, Gansu Province, GAU is a large co-educational institution. GAU offers courses and programs leading to official recognized higher education degrees such as bachelor's degrees, master's degrees, doctoral degrees in several areas of study. Is one of the universities on the first list of Chinese excellent agricultural and forestal personal training projects. This 70-year-old institution has a selective admission policy based on entrance examinations. GAU provides academic and non-academic facilities and services to students, including a library, sports facilities and/or activities, as well as administrative services. One thing that came to my mind while I was reading this was, that's a way to encourage. China keeps telling us that they're running out of adults, and yet they have this great university there where very selective, smart individuals get to. Could they not stay? I lived in a town where the majority of people had either grown up there or gone to the university there and stayed. I'm just saying, could that not same thing apply here? Maybe using these wonderful facilities that you have in business meccas to encourage more people from around the world to come and mate with people in your world and populize your area. But of course, that's silly because they're already doing that, and yet they keep saying they're dying. I'm not believing what I'm reading, is all I'm saying. Not believing the things that the news is telling me about these places. Not to mention, there's a whole bunch of people that live in shitty locations, and I don't know, ghost cities might be a great lodging for them. And then you can leave the indigenous people of the area alone. The history is interesting as well, and that's why I wanted to talk about this. In 1945, it was called the College of National Northwestern Agricultural, established by the Ministry of Education. In 1950, its name was changed to Northwestern Veterinary College. In 1958, it moved to Hunglong Town from Lanzhou and combined with the College of Gansu Agriculture. Later, it changed its name to the Gansu Agricultural University. And in 1981, its campus moved back to Lanzhou City. These are the programs that they have. Now, again, I couldn't help myself as I was reading these things to think, China's literally the worst on the planet, according to the news, at polluting our planet. And yet here they have this great university that seems to have some programs on how not to pollute the planet. So I'm a little confused. But anyway, here are their 15 departments in their Lanzhou campus, which including 53 bachelor programs, 8 master programs, and 7 doctorate programs. Additionally, pro-agriculture science, animal science, and veterinarian have been prized as the national key academic programs. So look at all of these departments. We got our agronomy. I'm sure I'm saying that right, but it's got some program names. Seed sciencing and engineering was one that popped out at me. A rural regional development, Chinese medical plants cultivation and application. That's under that one, agronomy. And then practiculture. I'm not sure how to say that either, but it's plant protection. It's some kind of praticulture science and praticulture science management direction. Let's just look it up to see what it says about it. Let's look it up. Okay, no results found. So I'm going to have to Google search that. Animal science, they've got animal medicine, animal science and technology, animal science with animal husbandry as the direction, agriculture science. We got forest with forestry, landscape agriculture, soil conservation, and desertification control, engineering. Don't forget that department. Electrical engineering and automation, civil engineering, water resources and hydropower engineering, transportation, agricultural mechanization and automation, agricultural electrification, agricultural water conservancy engineering, gardening. And they have mechanical design and manufacturing of automation, bioscience and application, bioscience in the animal direction, bioscience in the plant direction, related products, and bioscience in the biomass energy direction. Food science and engineering, food quality and safety. I can't help myself. And they just show us back in 2019 some dirty food quality and safety area that repeatedly seems to let out things that we don't want around. I just can't believe what I'm seeing. What they say and what they do are very conflicting. And so I have to start asking questions here. Wine and whatever, and bioengineering, not under food science, bioengineering. And remember, they allow you, they ship all kinds of weird things all over the planet, and on packages from China. I'm just saying. Environment and resources. I'm just saying that if I was a bad guy, if I was really the bad guy in China, all I'd have to do was just walk into some factories, and while the toys are being made or the products for the Wish apps are being made, I just poof poof, slap my hands together in a pile of dust, walk around, poof 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 on all the products. Send them out, and within 3 months, everybody would be sick or lying in the ground begging me for my medicine. I don't know why they hadn't thought of that. But I'm not an evil planner like they are. So, my ideas just get thrown out. That's silly. We have much more complicated ways to kill everybody. Environment and resources, economy, of course, that's their science, applied chemistry, statistics and chemistry. That's all material. Arts, we got law and secretary in the arts. I find that interesting. Labor and Social Security falls under the arts department, and computer technology and computing, and of course, some foreign language. You can get an business English degree because you're going to want to go do business. Anyway, found this stuff to be very interesting. That's it for this presentation. Just woo! I don't know. My sci-fi book is getting greater by the minute.